Hello guys, I hope you are all doing good. Welcome to another video. It's been a while since I have solved a problem, but recently when I was going through lead code to understand the market situation, I encountered an interesting problem that has been asked in Thoughtspot MTS-3 frontend interview. If you see, the person who has posted this has been asked three questions. First is the coding round, which is JavaScript coding round, where they were asked to create a resourceful class. He was not able to understand the question, and I think he was not able to clear the interview also, if I can see from the comment section. So I thought that this one is really interesting, and it's a challenging question for the interviews that can be asked. So I recently, a month back, I solved this problem. So here in today's video, I'll show you how you can solve the same question if you have ever encountered this in real life or during the interviews. The second question is machine coding question, where they ask him to implement search with auto suggestion. I have both search with auto suggestion in vanilla JavaScript as well as React solved on the YouTube channel itself. I'll share the link of this in the description. The third question was low level design. It was a system design round, and here it was asked to design Slack. The detailing was we have to list down the requirements, scope, LLD, API contracts, and all the optimization techniques that can be utilized while designing the front end of the Slack application. So after seeing this, I was working on my new book, front end system design. So I solved this question and I have it posted on the book itself. If you can see, so I have around 17 questions solved till now. I have this video streaming app like YouTube, Trello, Kanban board, then food ordering app like Swiggy, and then there is also this messaging app like Slack, then hotel and house booking services like Airbnb. So I've solved the front end of I've provided solution how you can create or solve the front end system design if you encounter this. So all the articles are in very detail and are in from the references. So I have solved this. If you are interested, or if you are want to take your front end knowledge at next level, or you are finding it difficult to clear the front end system design rounds, then you can enroll into my book. It's an online book. It's available at alpha.learnsbucket.com. You get lifetime access to it. This is online book because I can constantly update the contents and you can use it as you like. So you pay once and you get lifetime access to this book. If you're interested, you can enroll. So let's get started. We'll be solving this first question only. We'll be creating the resourceful class. The second one is already available. You can refer. This is part of the book also, and this is available on the YouTube channel as well. So you can get it anywhere. And the third one is only part of the book. So if we are looking to learn and how to create different systems, front end systems, then you have to get into the book. Now if I see, the salary discussion was not there for this particular role, but based on the other data that is available on the lead code, I see for the MTS-3 role, Thoughtspot pays really well. The base goes for 34 LPA and the total compensation goes around 48 LPA. In the past, I've already interviewed for Thoughtspot and have cleared the interviews. The level of interview questions they ask is really commendable. It shows when you interview for an organization and the questions they ask, it shows what kind of work you are going to do in the organization. So it reflects the industry in and out. So I was really I also encountered many challenging questions. I was able to clear that, and but unfortunately I got better offers. Not unfortunately, luckily I got better offers, so I had to pass Thoughtspot. But if you are looking, or if you are actively interviewing, so this is the number that you can negotiate on. So this is the data that you can get on the lead code itself. So let's get started. We'll be solving this resource pool. Now the first thing to understand is what is resource pool. So in computer science, everything is a resource. Okay, we ask for resource, we provide resource, we release resource. So in computers, memory is very expensive and we want to optimize it as much as possible. For that, what we do is, in cases where we oftenly create new objects. So objects are particularly created from classes. When you create a new instance of class, it returns an object. Now that object, you use it. Now after some time, after making use of the object, you don't further require it. So what you do is you release the object. Now the question that has been asked is, we have to create this resource pool class. Now resource pool class is a classic design pattern that is available in the computer science. So what it does is, think of it as, when you join an organization, right, there is an admin team or an IT team available in any company. Now when a new person joins, in the inventory, the admin or the IT team, they are assigned that they have to provide the available resources to the new joinee: the laptop, bags, the water bottles, and all the accessories that we provide during the joining. Now what the admin team does is, let's say if someone has left the organization, so they will deposit all their resources to the admin. The admin will keep check or staff of that. When a new joinee comes, they will go to the inventory, they check if the resource is available or not. If it is available, they will return the same resource by clearing it or resetting it. So if the laptop is available, they will reset the laptop, make it a new one, a fresh one, a clear one, and then they will provide it to the new joinee. In case the resource is not available, so they procure a new item, they will purchase it, and then they will provide it to the new joinee. So similarly, the resource pool works. The resource pool is a pool of inventory or a pool of object in case of technical terms if we speak. So let's say when you are requesting something, right, you request to create a new object. If the pool is available, it will return the existing object by resetting it. If the pool is not available, or is the pool is at limit, it will create a new object and then returns the object and make an entry for that in the pool. And if you release the object becomes available in the resource pool. So in simple terms, this is how a resource pool works. So let's now create this resource pool. How do we create is, first we create the resource pool object. So every time when you request for something, right, a new resource pool object is created. So let's call this resource pool member, and then here we'll get the data, and then we'll say that this dot data equals to data. So we are externally accepting the data because the resource pool object works as a, we can say it as a middleware, because it will only manage the pooling of the objects, not the data of the object. So we externally accept the object's data and we store it, and then the availability, if it is available or not. So initially by default it will always be available. Now we create the resource pool class. In this, the first thing we need is a list of objects to maintain. So we create a pool array and we define it as null initially. In the constructor, we'll set the number of pools. So whenever the resource pool is being instantiated, we get the number of resource pool size that we want to create initially. So that we'll be doing at the constructor level, but by default we define the variable as null. And then we have these two function, creator function. What creator function does is, it provides the data, the new data that is going to be set in the object pool. So this data, this will be provided by the creator function, And then we'll have this reset function that will reset the data. Now these these two will be accepted in the constructor function. This will be managed externally, but we are defining it so that it is available as a default and it does not breaks the application or our code. So then we have this constructor. We accept the creator function. We accept the reset function. We define a reset default state. And then we have this default pool size. So pool size will be accepting, but we are defining or we are setting a default value to that, so that when we are instantiating, it's not necessary to always accept or request the size of the pool. We can define it by default. And then the reset function is your reset function. So we are assigning it. Then our creator function is our creator function. So here we are overriding these two values. We are setting the values that we are accepting in the constructor. And then finally, we set the pool array. So we define it upfront. We create a new array of the defined size. Then we fill it by 0, which is a default value. You can fill it by 0, null, undefined, it's up to you. And then we map it and we set the default data. So this function will create a new element every time. So by default, when the pool is being instantiated, we'll create new element and we'll keep it available for all the pool size, which is right now by default is 1000. So we will have 1000 elements ready that will be returning when requested. And after that, every time we request something, right? So we'll create a new element. What we do is we get the data. So how we get the data is we create a new function or we invoke this creator function to create or get a new data, and we pass it through reset function on a safer side so that it is reset and we get what we want. And then we return so we pass this data to this resource pool member. This resource pool member will get the data, it will store it, and it will also have another property called available that will define if the object pool is available or not. So when you are creating a new element, we are just invoking the creator function to get the element. We are sanitizing it through reset function to double sure that the data that we are getting is normalized or it's clear, and then we are passing that data to the resource pool member. We are creating a new object of that and we are storing it. So now the pool array stores thousands of resource pool member with the data and the availability as true. Now these are the basic functions of the resource pool. After that, we have two another methods. First is when we are requesting a new element or a new object from the resource pool. So what it will do is it will check the pool array, it will iterate it, and it will find the first available object from it. So we get or we check for all. If it is available, what we do is we mark it as false, so it's no longer available, and then we return this. Now because objects are passed as reference, so we can directly update the object reference to false, and then when we are returning this will return the pool object with the data and the availability as false because it's already being in use. Let's say if there are no element available, then this will return undefined. So we'll see in the example when we are invoking this function. And then finally we have this method to release element. This will take the element or the object that we want to release, and what it will do is it will make it available and then it will reset it. So our function is reset. So that's the code for the resource pool. Now let's try and test this. So we first create this creator function that we are going to use. What we are going to do is we are going to return an object from this with a property counter whose value is 0. And then we have this reset function that will accept the object and then it will reset it. So here in the reset function we can write the custom logics. So because I am aware that I'm going to do this type of task on my objects, so in the reset function I'm going to remove that. So I'm aware that I'm going to add an extra property on the object. So by default the creator functions only return the counter property, but I'm aware that I'm going to do an action in which I'm going to add a new property name to the objects. So that's why while resetting I'm going to delete this. So because this creator and the reset function has to be in external control, they want to manipulate the data as they want it, we are keeping it external and we are defining it. Now the creator and the reset function both are being defined, so we can create a new pool object. So my pool, and we are creating a new resource pool, and to this we are passing the creator function, the reset function, and then we are defining the pool size to be 1, precisely 1. So we have defined a resource pool of size 1. Now when you request the element, you should get one element, okay, one object, because that's what is available. After that if you request, you should get undefined because there are no more objects available to be returned, so we are getting undefined. If you want, you can also pass null, so this will make sure that there are no more things available. So we can also do this, but it's all about the logic that we are building. So we are defining one object. Now this resource pool right here, we have to wrap this under the singleton design pattern because this resource pool will be used many times, right, across the code or application. So you want to just create one instance of that and you have to return this pool. Now this pool will be used further to get object or request object from the pool, release object, and do manipulations and whatnot. So you have to find or you have to implement singleton design pattern on the resource pool. Now that our pool is ready, let's get the first element. Console.log object to use. So now you'll see that when I'm requesting or when I'm requesting an object from the resource pool, this should return me counter equals to 0, and this counter value is wrapped in the resource pool member because the data is being stored in the property data, and then we should have this available true. So let's run this and see if we are getting the desired output. we got a semicolon error somewhere. So let's see. The object. So you see, right, in the data we have this counter value as 0 and then it's no longer available. If I request a new object over here, so we should get null. Let me clear this and run this. So we got null, if you can see, right? So second time when you requested, you got null. This is because our pool size is of only one object. So you can only use one object, and if you are requesting more than that, you are getting null. Now, what if I release this object and then request it? Then in that case, we should get the object, right? Because that's how the pool works. If you are releasing an object, it is available in the pool. Then if you are requesting it again, it should be available to you. So let's do one thing. Let's manipulate this data a little bit so that we can see if it is being reset properly or not. So the counter, and incrementing it, so it becomes 0 to 1, and then I'm adding a new property to this name, because in the reset function we have written that we have to delete this name property. So I'm setting this as Prashant, and then if I run this, or if I render this, so we should see that there is a change in the data. So now you see that the counter becomes 1 and we have an additional property name with the value Prashant. Now if I pass this, and also if I am requesting a new object after that, it's no longer available. So what if I release this object? So I go to my pool dot release element and I pass object to use. Now this will release the object, and then after that if I am requesting, it should be available in the pool. So let me comment this console, because the objects are passed as reference, right? So after manipulation, you will see that the data is being updated to this also. So let's keep it for now, and if I'm running this, so you see there, right, this is there at line number 62, we are printing counter name Prashant, and after that if I am requesting, so I'm getting the new object. I'm no longer getting the null because the object is being released. Now it's available in the pool. So right now what we did is we created manual release. Then there is another one, which is the duration based release, in which you release the object after a defined duration. So let's see how you can implement that too. So for the duration based, what we'll do is we'll change the available to time, and by default we'll store the value as 0. So how we are going to decide the duration, if the duration for the object has exceeded or not, is based on the calculation on the milliseconds or the timestamp. So in this we are going to store the current time. Let me define a default duration over here. So we are going to store the object only for 3 seconds. After that it will automatically be released. Now here we are going to make a change. So the change is, while creating the element, we are setting it as available false previously, right, manually. This time what we'll do is we'll check if date.now. So date.now will return the current time in timestamp, and if the time for the object is greater, the difference between both is greater than the duration, that means we have passed the validity, so the object is free. So what we have to do is we have to release it, because the duration has exceeded, so the object is free or no longer bounded. So we are releasing it. After the release, we are setting the time to be the current time. So we again set the new interval date dot now, and then we return this. And here, while releasing it, we are setting the time to be 0. So now if you see, if I run this, so I am getting this object, right? And then let's do a set timeout. And I'll set the duration as 4 seconds. Because we are only holding the object for 3 seconds, let me put more time than that, and we'll see what will be the outcome of that. So here we have requested to get only 2. So here we have instantiated the resource pool to hold only one element. Now we have requested the element, and if I'm requesting it again over here, it should return me null, right? So that should be the case. Let's check that. So object to use 2. So this should return me null because I've already requested one at the top, and this should return me the object. So let's run this, and after that in the set timeout, we'll check if I'm accessing the or requesting the object after 4 seconds, what will be the response. So here if I run this, I should get null for the second one and value for the first one. So object to use. So you see, we got the counter as 0, the time is defined, and when I requested it again, we got null. Now, if I do the same in the set timeout, I take this, I post it in the set timeout, and because this object will be only held for 3 seconds, if you are requesting it again and then we are printing it after 4 seconds, so it should be available. Now let's see that. So we got this printed, the first value, and after 4 seconds you see that the object is available. So this is a duration based bounding in the resource pool. So what we did is we first saw a manual release function. After that we saw a duration based. The third one is you have to increase the size of pool if the pool is at limit. So that I leave it as a homework for you. How would you implement the logic? So rather than returning null, you have to increase the size of the pool if we are at the limit, and you have to manage it effectively. So there are 2 ways to do that. I'll give a hint. First one is using a double linked list or DQ function, and second is using or increasing the pool size manually. So it's up to you how you implement this, but I hope you have learned something new today. Thank you for your time.